Yeah, should we go down to this Grapevine-Colleyville school district meeting?
We did not write that up, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking Matt could just, if you don't mind, Matt could queue it up for you.
So,
Sure.
the journalist, I think it's Stephen Monticelli, had a thread here, and we're going to take a couple videos of it. I think we should start with maybe the pro-trans videos first. Where a whole bunch of different types of folks, some anti-trans, some pro-trans, spoke at this school board meeting. Here is one of the good guys speaking.
Okay, his parents pulled him out of school, and for at least a year, he was afraid to go to Grapevine High School. But at least he did come back.
Pause it for a second. This was after this kid was beaten up because he was outed as being homosexual or gay.
Senior year. But this is why we expose kids to LGBTQ viewpoints, not to indoctrinate, not to make them gay or trans, but to teach them empathy, to show them that they are human beings who deserve care and love. You know, just because you disagree with someone doesn't mean you can't accept them. Just because you don't understand someone doesn't mean you can't be kind to them. Okay? Kids deserve better than to be otherized and demonized by people who would rather go to a culture war with a scholastic book fair than to protect their most vulnerable.
All right, right on there. And we also got this clip of a Methodist preacher who I think these two guys sort of are good contrast to what comes after them. But this Methodist preacher comes on and speaks in language that I really appreciate, particularly coming from a preacher.
Right.
Andrew Pfizer, please step to the microphone and state whether you're a resident of GCS.
Wait, can you pause it for 1 sec? What is this guy standing behind him?
Oh, can I give a little context to that as well?
Yeah, he's been leering at at both of the, or is he one of the good guys?
Yeah, he's one of
the bad guys.
No, I actually think he is one of the good guys. The reason I say that is because he is the school district abbreviation crossed out on his shirt, and the shirt is designed to say that they are being taken over by this pack. This pack called Patriot something. I can't see they have been the ones who have been AstroTurf funding this fight to remove gender fluidity language from the curriculum, as well as CRT language from the curriculum. So I think his shirt is crossing it out to say, oh, this pack is essentially bought by this.
That is a little confusing.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. So Monticelli writes, the man in the shirt is actually opposed to Patriot Mobile, as noted by Mike Hickson-Baugh. GCSID is crossed out and replaced with Patriot Mobile Action ISD. I mean,
it's confusing for sure, because you're thinking he's literally being like, yes, the pack should say that, but here is the minister who is also against the gender fluidity being removed from the
Gotcha.
I'm a pastor with the United Methodist Church in Greenland Hills in East Dallas, and also a Grapevine-Colleyville residents. We've heard today from children, from parents who are under threat, from teachers who are under threat by the policies that you have brought forth and are going to be voting on here soon. I ask that you table those, don't vote against them, because these are a white nationalist fascist agenda that you have brought here, and you're beating up on LGBTQ plus students, on children, to get your agenda passed and to have power. You ought to be ashamed of yourselves. This is not Christian behavior.
There you go. And so I think it's important that we hear both sides. So we have a third clip from a gentleman in a orange shirt that we'll play. Or I guess it's the red shirt. Yeah, go ahead.
And let me just ask, right? These are the this guy is against the indoctrination of children with vile sexual thoughts. So
grooming kids to be over sexualized as kids in school, in public school.
Okay, so he's against sexualization in public spaces, particularly in schools, because children might be taken advantage of and indoctrinated. Let's hear what he has to say.
Yeah! Thank you, Shannon, Casey, Timmy, Kathy. Keep winning, baby. Do it. Embrace simple truths. There's only two genders, and boys should go to boys' rooms, girls should go to girls' restrooms. And guess what? Teachers shouldn't be forced to use your freaking made-up fantasy pronouns. Fight like hell. Hold the line against the LGBT mafia and their dang pedo fans. Keep winning. You know what? Keep the winning. They can keep the monkeypox. How's that working? In fact, keep winning so much, we'll keep coming. You know what? We're going to keep coming so hard. The only thing these woke cards got to figure out is whether it's on their face, back, butt, or thighs. Woo! Get some! Thank you.
Thank you. Our 120th speaker is Yanni Kim. Please step to the microphone and state whether you're a resident of GCI.
Yeah, so that's a fascist right there that you just saw squealing in front of that microphone.
Saying that we are going to keep coming on the woke tards until they don't know whether it's on their face, back, or chest.
And I'll also say one thing. A lot of cowards in the media, like Matt Walsh and all the people who apologize for Matt Walsh or say people should review his books, all of them like to focus, or the Justice Singles, like, oh, we got to worry about these surgical interventions, right? Like it's all about, and concerned only about puberty blockers, which is, again, all bullshit. And puberty blockers, when used in the context of like after a social transition and with doctor and parent input, like that is something you should support. But this is a movement that is not actually just about the concern that we're doing different types of procedures. It is anti even pronouns. It is completely against the existence of trans people. And it's simple as that. And all this other bullshit we have to deal with about fucking puberty blockers or these freaks like coming on saying like 5-year-olds are cutting their genitals off. No, like that's not happening. None of these concerns that you have are real. They're all just fig leaves for exterminationists, people who want trans people to be gone.
And who want to exert like their perspective or their will onto everybody else, which is, I think, illustrated by his violent sexual assault coded language that he used there, right? All this stuff is interconnected. Sexual assault is about control and it's about force. So I think not a mistake that that very aggressive gentleman there talked about coming everywhere. I guess, like, what did he say? I mean, we don't need to repeat it, but it was implied that it was by force, right?
Well, yeah, it's just interesting that this is ostensibly he is supporting a motion to remove sexualizing rhetoric and curricula from the school district that ostensibly his children would be attending if he has them, or if it is even his school district. And the threat that he is making to the detractors is that they are essentially either going to metaphorically or literally ejaculate on them.
Yeah.
So it just seems as if it seems as if very clearly that there's only really one sexualizing that's allowed.
And we've been through this before, as like, I guess, the West, as Jordan Peterson likes to say. There's a law called Section 28 that was a legislative designation for a series of laws across Britain that prohibited the promotion of homosexuality by local authorities, introduced by Margaret Thatcher's Conservative government. It was in effect from 1988 to 2000 in Scotland and from 1988 to 2003 in England and Wales. It caused many organizations such as lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender student support groups to close or limit their activities or self-censor. I mean, obviously, what do all these people want? And guess what happened? It is looked back on as a travesty and where, like, a lot of prominent MPs who supported it, conservative MPs, have to say, oh yeah, that was actually wrong. Here's just a little taste. Interview with gay magazine Attitude at the time 2005 general election. Michael Howard, then leader of the Conservative Party, commented, Section 28 was brought in to deal with what at the time was a specific problem what was seemed to be a specific problem at the time. The problem was a kind of literature that was being used in some schools and distributed to very young children that was seen to promote homosexuality. I thought, rightly or wrongly, he was wrong, that there was a problem in those days. The problem simply doesn't exist now. Nobody's fussed about those issues anymore. It's not a problem. So he just says, like, there may or may not have been a problem. But the point is, none of the people, there's not people who said, like, oh yeah, by the way, we should have taken that panic against gay people seriously. It's all people having to, like, walk back an attack on an entire class of people because of their sexuality. And that's exactly what the right wing is trying to do here. The exact same thing is happening in Poland. Like this is a global right wing priority right now, which is to attack schools and use sort of sexualization of or the supposed sexualization of kids, which is just sex ed, as a attack to as like a vehicle to attack like things like public education and try to shape it for reactionary purposes.
It's, in particular in this country, it's a really convenient way to undercut. We have a teacher shortage right now, and it's in part because of these attacks on teachers and a coordinated political effort to undercut teachers' unions writ large, and public education as an institution. I mean, when you talk about that guy being a fascist, he's a fascist because he wants to harden the hierarchy. He wants to make it more subjugating, and he wants to kick groups back from being recognized for their personhood and for having rights, like trans people and gay people. Right. And he does that by using a metaphor about his own manhood and sexuality. I mean, metaphor might be even putting it too highfalutinly for that guy, but like he used that and projected, I think, frankly, his own sexual insecurity onto everybody else within the context of like talking about educating kids about gay people or being trans. Look how straight I am. I mean, that's not what I'm seeing.
Fascism is maintenance of hierarchy through force. And this is particularly being a sexual hierarchy. And yeah, he literally included in his rant there that he was going to finish on the people that he considers his political enemies. I mean, it really is an all-time clip that we should maybe put in a time capsule or something, and also identify the guy. Because it really like it's everything you need to know to understand. And I again, like I don't think like I'm not like Glenn Greenwald or Tucker Carlson, where I think like these sort of psychological sketches are the fundamental political analysis unit, but I think it is very revealing in this case nonetheless.
I mean, it's just jumps off the screen. And we should name this guy. He spoke in a public forum. I would love to know his name. And then
keep kids away from him.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want him talking about finishing all over everywhere in front of children. That would actually be quite inappropriate, as opposed to what he's trying to tamp down there. Yeah. Man, just a walking Freudian case.
Freak, man. That is a real freak.
Classy atheist. My mom works as a teacher in Colleyville, and the anti-LGBT views like this is not surprising. This is also the district that fired a black principal for having a picture of him kissing his white wife and using CRT to indoctrinate kids. They're losing teachers left and right because of shitty policies and aggressive behavior from parents. That's a good reminder. I didn't realize that was the same district.
Well, let me just say, Greenland Hills UMC tells me on Twitter that was Pastor Andrew Pfizer speaking up for LGBT inclusion, the Methodist pastor there. So good for him.